Hey guys, welcome back. Behind me is our oil filter cabinet. Now last week my Napa sales rep was not in town, so I did my stock order myself, and I noticed a lot of my filters had a lot of dust on them, which means we're not selling a lot of those, we're not rotating through our inventory. So I decided to look into NAPATracs and see what filters I have sold over the last year or so. And I'm going to show you guys how to do that as well. And I also came up with a new list of filters that I'm going to sell, so I'm going to redo my whole cabinet, put new stickers on it. But in the meantime, let's jump on the computer, let's go through NAPATracs, let's find out how we can look at the inventory movement over the last year and see if that helps you guys figure out what filters you need to stock. Okay, so now that we have NAPATracs open, we need to work with items. Up here at the top, that's going to be the square, circle, upside down triangle button. We're going to open that up, and now we can enter our search criteria for the items we want to find. So if we just punch in filter right here in the description and hit find item, it's not going to find that many items for us. Yeah, it only found 19 items called filter. That's because it was only searching for items that were called filter from start to finish, no extra characters, that's it. If we want to add additional characters in there, we have to use a wildcard feature. And one of those features is using the asterisk, which is Shift 8. That's going to allow any number of characters to come before the word filter. So we'll type filter again, we'll hit find items, and now we have 1,398 items. But what if there was additional words after that? We can add another asterisk to the end of that and search again. Now we have 2,535 items. But we know that not all of these are oil filters. Like here's an oil filter cap, we have an air filter, lots of various other filters are listed in this search. That's not what we want. So it took me a couple of hours to find the right criteria for my use. And what I did is up here under type, I went to part. We're going to use a couple of wildcards. So I'm going to use asterisk oil, asterisk again, and then another asterisk. So basically it's going to allow us to use the word oil and then any number of characters before and after it. But then we're also going to add filter with another asterisk after that. So now it's going to give us anything that says oil filter in the description. But what if it's a word or description that imported from, say, our Napa store, and it said gold filter engine oil? It wouldn't find it using this criteria. So we need to add some more stuff here. Now, if you use Google and you said, I want to find this or this, it's going to give you either result. You can do the same thing in this description box, but we're going to use a vertical bar. And I'm not sure if it's / or /, but we're going to use a shift / and it's going to put a vertical bar. And then I'm going to use asterisk again. And this time I'm going to reverse it. Filter, asterisk again, oil with an asterisk. So that way either version of this is going to show up. And then I'm going to hit another vertical bar, and I'm just going to type in filter, just in case some of those ones that came up on our first search are something that we need to have in this search box. So now let's go ahead and hit find items and see how many items we get. We have 668 items. Now we can narrow this down a little bit further. Let's hit done. On the right hand side of the screen, we have a section called quantity. I want to search for anything that I have sold more than one. I mean, we could do more than 0, but I want to do more than 1. And I'm going to put 0101 of 22, and I'll just leave the March date here. So that's going to give us a little more of a year of data here of filters that I've sold more than one of. We'll hit find items again. And we went from 600 and something down to 120 items. So that really narrowed our search down quite a bit. So every other part number that's on that list isn't something I've sold or sold more than one of in the last year. I don't really need to stock filters that I only sell one a year. Typically we can get them from our Napa store, which is only a block away. So this is the list I want to see what I'm selling, what quantities of it, and figure out if I want to stock those numbers or if I want to try to do a bulk purchase to save some money. But this still doesn't tell us how many we sold. Now, I wish that Trax did have a box up here that said sold or movement, but it just says minimum quantity, maximum quantity. That's if you've entered those numbers in for your stock. And it says quantity on hand. Obviously, we don't use NAPATracs for our inventory because I have negative 137 of these Toyota filters on hand. And it has your cost and list. So in Trax Enterprise, I'm not sure if the legacy Trax still has this or not, but in Enterprise, we go up here to the top, and there's like a stack of papers with some graphs on it. That is Trax reporting. Let's click on that. We're going to go to Item and Inventory Reports. And now we're going to click on Item Movement Report. An item list is open. Do you want to use this list for the item sales report? Yes, we want to use the list that is currently on the screen. It's going to take a second to load that report. And now we have a report of all the oil filters that we sold more than one of over the last year. Now, if we look at this, we can see our starting quantity, how many we received through NAPATracs, how many we sold, any adjustments we made, and what our end quantity is. The only thing I'm worried about is this sold category, but unfortunately on this report page, we can't sort by that. So we need to export this document and then open it up in Excel and manipulate the data a little bit so we can see it in a different order. Up at the top of this box, we have a little floppy drive that says export. Let's click on that. We are going to save this as an Excel document. And now we can open that up in Microsoft Excel. So now we have all of our data in Microsoft Excel, but it's still not in a very good format for us to do anything with it. We still can't, sort it by any of the descriptions, quantities sold, received, any of that. We can't do anything with this other than look at it like we did before, unless we change the data. So what I'm going to do is convert this into a table. So I'm going to click on manufacturer. I'm going to Control-Shift-Right until I get to the end of our table titles here. And then now I'm going to keep holding Control and Shift and hit down until we get to the bottom of our items. So I have 131 items or columns selected here. And now we are going to go to Insert, Table. We're going to click that my table has headers. Okay. And now it just converted that into a table for us. But there's a bunch of information in this table that is not needed. There was a whole bunch of columns that were merged columns. And now our data is kind of funky. Our description matches up, but our start quantity doesn't. There's a couple of blanks here. Our received quantity doesn't. So we need to clean this up a little bit. And we're going to end up deleting quite a few of these rows or columns, and then we'll have to retitle them. So if we remember from that first screen, our quantity sold was the center group of numbers. So I'm going to delete all of the empty boxes, just get rid of them. And I don't need this column here because this is just as if I stock the item, which not all of these items are entered into Trax that way. So I can delete all of this. Delete all of that. And the amount of spaces between the columns varies. So don't just automatically delete like 4 rows. Sometimes it's 1 row, sometimes it's 2. We're just deleting the blank spaces between them. Okay, now the center row was our sold quantity, and that's the one I'm going to use. I don't need the other rows. And I'm not sure why, but that box wouldn't let me type anything in. So I just clicked on this column over here, right-clicked, used the Format Painter, clicked that, and then clicked in this box. And it's automatically right justified, so it kind of blocks out our sold. So I'm going to left justify it so it's visible. And now I can delete all these other rows of numbers because I don't really care about those. They're not anything that's relevant to me because I don't use Trax for inventory. So those numbers are all bad numbers. Okay, so now we're much closer. But there's another problem with Microsoft Excel. It doesn't always like to sort stuff how we want it. So we can see a little green box up here. There's a note attached to each one of these cells. So if we click on this, the number in this cell is formatted as text or preceded by an apostrophe. Since it's sorted as a text, if we click on this and sort by this column A to Z, everything with a 1 is going to get sorted first. So 116 is sorted right next to the number 12. That's not how we want this, so we're going to have to fix it. Okay, to fix this, there's a couple of ways we can do that. We can highlight the row. We can copy and paste it to the next row and then bring it back, delete one of the rows. Or we can go to, I believe it's under data, and it's text to columns. And we're not going to change anything, we're just going to hit finish. And that fixes our data. So now we can click on this sort smallest to largest again. And because it's in negative numbers, the smallest is going to be the one that we sold the most of. So I know it's kind of counterintuitive there, but I sold 144 of this Toyota filter, 143 of this Toyota filter. And then we have one of our Napa Pro Selects. Now some of this information is getting cut off here, so I'm going to expand these tiles. I'm just going to highlight them all. I'm going to shift and double click on the line. And it should, yeah, it just widened all these rows to fit the text. So now I can sort through this based on the number of filters that I've sold. Now you can also sort by part number if you wanted to, or you can do it even by manufacturer. So I'm going to sort by number sold first, and then I'm going to click on manufacturer and go sort A to Z. And what that's going to do is it's going to sort it by manufacturer and then the quantity sold by each manufacturer. So I have some Ultram filters here, stuff I brought in through Napa. I believe these are CarQuest. Yeah, CarQuest Premium. This Wix probably came from CarQuest as well. Chrysler, this was a engine adapter. I'm not sure if this what this is, but I sold 3 of them last year. But that's data that we don't really need in our chart. And a transmission filter I sold 2 of. So I'm going to delete those out. We don't need those. And here's my Napa Gold filters. And then we have a Honda filter here. We sold 116 of those. Nissan, 2 filters there we sold high quantities of. Actually 3 Nissan filters. But we can see here that some of these numbers are the same. They're just missing the hyphen. So you may want to, merge these together to get better numbers. I can just change this. I can add 13 to that. It's going to give us negative 50. And we'll delete this row that has 13. And I'm sure there's other duplicates in here as well. Now, some of these I may have sold a gold filter and also sold a Pro Select filter. And actually it's very common. Like this 21515, I sold 14 of it. I saw the 1515 up here and I sold 2 of those. So I don't sell very many golds in that line. But there are certain ones that we only sell the gold or we prefer to sell the gold. And if I have the gold filter in stock, then I really don't want to carry the Pro Select as well. I don't want to keep duplicates in stock. It's just not something I need. So this list here will really help us narrow down what filters we are stocking in our cabinets. And you can see here, Subaru, Toyota, I sell a lot of OEM filters on the import stuff. And there's certain other OEMs that I have filters for specific models, like the Chevy Colorado Diesel, the 6.7 Power Stroke. Our customers prefer to have the OEM stuff, so I just only stock the OEM stuff. Okay, so we went through all of our filter cabinets. I had to make a few new labels because stuff didn't fit quite how it was supposed to, and I had duplicates of some stuff somehow. I have a couple of numbers I still need to change out from the Pro Select to the Gold because we don't sell the Pro Select anymore, so I'll have to correct that. But let me show you the pile of filters that I pulled from our cabinet that we haven't sold in over a year. So that part number we haven't sold in over a year, and some of them we haven't sold in 2 years, and we still had them on the shelf. So some of these part numbers, like that 7561, we ended up going with the factory Volkswagen Audi filter, so we don't really sell that one anymore. This one here we pulled because we switched to a gold instead of the Pro Select. These 7712s, we went with OEM Subaru filters. Haven't sold that in a couple years, so we're pulling that one. Some of these I'm just reducing inventory on, and I may just set these aside or send them back. I'm not sure how much of this stuff I can send back because it was purchased a couple years ago. But we have quite a few numbers, so we probably have $500 worth of filters here in inventory that didn't need to be in our inventory. So now we removed a lot of these numbers. We have some room in our cabinets for some of the new numbers that are coming out. So I have quite a few empty slots now, and that's because I have new filters going in that I wasn't currently stocking before. One of these two numbers here I have to double check, may be getting pulled because I'm stocking a factory Kia part for that. I need to order filters for that slot. And down here, I ended up with a whole extra shelf. So I'm going to stock some of my newer diesel filters. Some of these aren't available in aftermarket, or the vehicle's still under factory warranty, and I want to assure to my customers that I'm putting a factory part in there. So this is for the 20 and newer Duramax. This is for the diesel Colorado. That is for the Ford 6.7. I'm not sure if I'll have anything else to fill these spots, but I'm going to leave them open for now just in case we add some additional numbers. These all down here are a common diesel filter, so even though they're not in the right order for the rest of the system, I just put all of those together because they're all bigger filters and needed a little more room. And then this cabinet here houses most of our factory import filters. We have Toyota, we have Honda, Nissan, Hyundai and Kia, European, Volkswagen and Audi stuff, and then Subaru stuff. So that is the main reason that I haven't been selling much of the other part numbers, because we've started carrying more and more factory part numbers. So I hope that helped you guys realize the importance of checking your item movement every once in a while, making sure that you're seeing how many filters you're selling, because sometimes you have stuff that sits stagnant on your shelf and there's no point in really carrying that part number or restocking it if you're not selling it. So some of these, the sales guy might add one or two in our inventory if we look like we're low, just because he thinks we sold them, and in reality that number hasn't been sold in quite a while. So then we end up with a whole row that's completely filled full of them. So on my new labels I put a maximum quantity that I want to carry so that he doesn't order more than that quantity, just so we can limit how much stock that we're keeping, because if I'm only selling 5 of them a year, I don't need to carry more than 5 of them on the shelf. So if you guys have a different way of stocking your inventory, keeping track of it, let me know that down below. I'm sure some of the other service writer software or shop management systems may make it a little bit easier than what we do, but I'm not sure because I haven't used a lot of them. I've demoed most of them, but we can't go with the cloud-based system where we're at, so we're stuck with a local server system, and I really like the way that NAPATracs works for that system. If you have any questions or comments, put those down below. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.